Former Vice President Mike Pence is now speaking publicly about his plans to fight a subpoena from the U.S. Justice Department. He weighed in twice today, including some extended remarks just a little while ago. CNN Justice correspondent Jessica Schneider is joining us with details. So, Jessica, tell our viewers what he said.
Well, Wolf, Mike Pence simply didn't mince words today. He explained how his team had discussions with the Justice Department before the subpoena was issued. He said that his team was clear with DOJ officials that Pence would fight any subpoena on the grounds of the speech or debate clause of the Constitution. And the former vice president today really explained at length how his duties as president of the Senate on January 6th, in his view, precludes him from talking about his actions and discussions leading up to and on that day. Here he is.
I'm going to fight the Biden DOJ's subpoena for me to appear before the grand jury because I believe it's unconstitutional and it's unprecedented. Never before in American history has a vice president been summoned to appear in court to testify against a president with whom they served. President Trump was wrong. I had no right to overturn the election. And as I've said, I've spoken out over the last 2 years and written extensively about those days. I think President Trump's words were reckless. I think they endangered me and my family and others at the Capitol, and I'm not hesitated to say so. That said, under the Constitution in this moment, I believe my duty is also clear, and that is the Constitution prohibits an executive branch from summoning anyone into court for their legislative actions or duties. And on the day of January 6th, I was acting as president of the Senate, presiding over a joint session described in the Constitution itself. And so I believe that that speech and debate clause of the Constitution actually prohibits the executive branch from compelling me to appear in a court, as the Constitution says, or in any other place. And we'll stand on that principle, and we'll take that case as far as it needs to go, if needs be, to the Supreme Court of the United States. I believe that would diminish the privileges enjoyed by any future vice president, be that Democrat or Republican. And I simply will not do that.
Now, Pence did acknowledge that he really has talked about this before. He wrote in his memoir about his interactions with former President Trump in the days leading up to January 6th, but he made clear he will not comply with that subpoena. He will not testify under oath about those same interactions because, as Pence sees it, it would just set a bad precedent here. But Wolf, this position really could mean a long legal fight for the former vice president, just as he's considering whether to announce a run for president, something he hinted at in Iowa today. Wolf?
Yes, he did. All right, Jessica Schneider, thank you very much. Let's get some more on all of this. Joining us now, CNN's senior legal analyst, Elie Honig. He's also the author of the brand new book, very important book, very timely book, entitled Untouchable: How Powerful People Get Away with It. Elie, congratulations on the book.
Thanks.
Once again, thanks very much for joining us. Give us your reaction to Pence's argument.
So first of all, this is fascinating. This is like a law school hypothetical come to life. He actually does have some substance in this argument. There's really two questions. First of all, is he covered by the speech and debate clause? The Constitution says that members of Congress can be covered. Now, he was the president of the Senate in his role as vice president, and the courts have construed that broadly. They've actually said it can apply to congressional staffers as well. So I think it likely will apply to Mike Pence. The second part, though, is will his testimony relate to his legislative duties? We just heard Mike Pence say everything I was doing that day was in my capacity as president of the Senate. I think the counter argument will be, to the extent you were involved in conversations with Donald Trump about crimes, that's not covered.
You think this fight could go all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court?
Absolutely, and timing is going to be so important here. It will start at the district court, which is the trial court level. Whoever loses there can automatically appeal to the Court of Appeals. Whoever loses there will certainly try to take it to the Supreme Court. And of course, it's up to the Supreme Court, but this kind of case is tailor-made for them.
So when I hear that, what does it do to the timeline of this criminal investigation of the former president of the United States by the Justice Department special counsel?
Timing is so important here, Wolf. We just heard about Mike Pence's political considerations, but from DOJ's perspective, there is no way, even if this case is super expedited, that it gets through all those layers we just talked about in anything less than 4 months and probably more than that. Is DOJ willing and able to wait 4 months to get this testimony and then incorporate it? I mean, we're talking about a 4, 5, 6 or more month delay if they're going to fight for this.
Yeah, I assume they will fight. But correct me if I'm wrong, over the years, the Justice Department has had certain success in fighting these arguments about executive privilege over the years, right?
Yeah, sure. Executive privilege usually ends up going in DOJ's favor. What's novel here, the twist is Mike Pence is using this obscure provision from Article 1, the speech and debate clause. Now, he's going to have a problem, and we just heard about this, because he has written about a lot of these conversations in his book. And so prosecutors, DOJ, are going to argue, you've waived it. You've given up that right. Once you talk about something publicly, you no longer have those protections. You no longer have the legal right to keep it secret.
And in his book, he wrote extensively about those conversations.
He did.
It'll be an interesting legal battle. Thanks very much.